everyone. Welcome to Chalk Talk, your source for Buckeye Athletics news, updates, and analysis. I'm Andrew Todd Smith.
And I'm Aaron Yerian.
We're going to dive right into the action, Aaron. Women's basketball, we'll start with them. Tuesday evening, they face that team up north. Their arch rivals, the Wolverines of Michigan, hosting them here at the Schottenstein Center. Come from behind victory, 77-73. They did struggle early in that game. Michigan was nursing a 37-34 lead going in to halftime. Credit to Michigan for executing rather well in the first half. But what's interesting is fouling by Michigan on Ohio State is frankly what kept them in this game. Kelsey Mitchell, 1 of 9 from the field during the first half. She just couldn't find her shot early in that game. Ends up having a great second half. She ended up with 26 points. Now, the Buckeyes did not have a lead from 17:23 left in the first half until 4:41 left in the second half. Ohio State got out-rebounded, definitely, but Alexa Hart and Shayla Cooper provided some size in the paint late in that game to have the Buckeyes have a come-from-behind victory. So they trailed 62-49 with 9 minutes left in that game, and they were able to come back. Amherst Alston, a little bit off, but she was 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Keying that comeback, assistant coach Klein specifically gave the girls a bit of advice during a timeout. We'll hear now from Kate Kraft and Kelsey Mitchell what that message was.
We got in the huddle. I do know we got in the huddle, and Coach Patrick Klein, he said we act like we don't want to play. We act like we had a funeral, as Coach McGuff would say. He said you're either gonna buckle down or you're gonna lose. And from that point on, we made big adjustments, and we provided energy. Every last one of our players added some energy to the court in all ways, and that talk just motivated me, and I think it motivated all my teammates too.
That's nothing new. So when he said that, I think we all just kind of realized, we can win the game. We had 10 minutes left. We were acting like we were down 30. So after he said that, I think everybody just kind of realized, we can't go down like this, especially on our home court. It's tough to win in the Big Ten, so you got to defend your home court as best you can.
So here and there from Kate Kraft and Kelsey Mitchell about the fact that this team was playing with the mindset that they were down 30 and they were going up against this insurmountable challenge to come back against Michigan, and they ended up being able to do it based on the focus of a star player like Mitchell. Credit to her for driving hard in the lanes. The other players were playing such good defense and allowing her to have fast breaks in transition. She was playing like she wanted it more. And from Hart playing outstandingly defensively, she had a block, allowed Mitchell to steal some balls. Michigan just started playing a little sloppier, and Mitchell gave them the lead late in the game. And then Kate Kraft, who had a huge three during part of that comeback, seals it with a clutch free throw there down in the stretch. The ladies taking care of business against Michigan. They did go on the road this weekend at Illinois and did suffer a defeat. It was kind of a tough week for them. Have the high of that win and then the road setback. But 4 players in double figures for Illinois, and the starting guards for Illinois brought down 17 of their 40 rebounds. So that's tough to go up against. Alston had 20 points and Mitchell had 19, but they will face Purdue Tuesday evening here again at home, and they have a little homestand. They get Iowa, number 13 in the country, this weekend. So we will move on to men's basketball. They faced Penn State at home on Wednesday, and they really handled business. The sort of theme there was, a team like Penn State is one that you should handle if you have the talent that Ohio State does. D'Angelo Russell didn't have a great game, but he's such a talented player that he was able to attract enough attention from Penn State to allow Sam Thompson and Bates-Diop to have pretty great games. Sam Thompson, career-high 22 points. Defense by all players, frankly, was quite impressive. Jayshawn Tate played very selflessly. Didn't have a great box score, but not afraid to give the ball to a teammate. Bates-Diop, that is the story of this game, frankly. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. So, not crazy numbers, but showing versatility. Coach Mata had some nice things to say about Bates-Diop in the post-game press conference.
How Kate has played, I'm just so excited for him. He's
this is kind of what we've been trying to get out of him, just in terms of his aggressiveness. And I keep saying it. He's long. He can block shots. He can rebound out of his area. And I don't think he shot the ball particularly well tonight, but we know he can do that and really stretch a defense.
So in the absence of Mark Loving, Kata Bates-Diop getting some meaningful time, 18 minutes in that game against Penn State. But Amir Williams did admittedly struggle. Trey McDonald did all right. And as I said, the play of all these other guys, when Russell is being double teamed and focused upon, allows other players to emerge and have huge performances. So Sam Thompson, the key defensively for him was he pretty much did a good job of containing DJ Newbill for Penn State, who is their star player. So 75-55, the game was, I would say, comfortably well in hand, going into the second half of the second half, if you will. Now, at Michigan State over the weekend, what a strong showing from the Spartans, because that game was nip and tuck down the stretch, and Michigan State 20 bench points to Ohio State 7. They didn't get Loving back in the mix effectively enough, and the Buckeyes, again, were trying to nudge their way to a comeback victory like the ladies were able to do against Michigan, but it wasn't happening. Denzel Valentine, on Valentine's Day, sinks a clutch 3 in the final waning seconds, and you have a 3-point margin of victory. So those teams, as I said, pretty evenly matched, very well contested matchup. 59-56 the final, so a little lower scoring than what we're used to seeing from those Buckeyes. But they were down 9 at the half, so to lose by 3 to Tom Izzo and company, pretty, you're going to drop some games in the Big Ten, and what better place to do it than at a tough road venue where it's kind of forgivable, if you will. So they did take care of the ball, only 9 turnovers, but Michigan State just frankly executed better on all phases of the ball. So they face Michigan at Michigan this coming weekend, so we'll have to see how they rebound from this victory, pun intended. But Schottenstein Arena, what else was going on later?
That's right, Andrew. Speaking of Valentine's weekend in a home series, Ohio State men's ice hockey, and I believe the women's ice hockey also facing the Badgers from up north. No, not Michigan, but Wisconsin.
There you go.
That team that beat Ohio State last year in the Big Ten Championship. Well, this time around, the Badgers are looking for their first conference win of the season.
They are struggling.
So Ohio State on Friday, first game of the series, they would get the 2-1 win, but they would end up splitting the series with a final score 3-2, Saturday's loss. On Saturday, sophomore goalie Christian Fry. He would get the start, and he would have 25 saves throughout the night through his 58 minutes of play, because in the last 2 minutes they pulled the goalie and left it open net.
Empty net, yep.
So the 2 goals of the night came from Anthony Greco and Christian Lampasso. So they would get the goals for Ohio State, but it just wouldn't be enough. Badgers clinched their first conference win. Following the matchup, Coach Rollick and senior forward Matt Johnson talked a little bit about their mentality going into the postseason and what they need to see going into the playoffs.
I don't know if they played a different game. I really, to come out and get the early lead, that's exactly what you want to do. But, you tip your cap to them because they're going to work. They're hungry. They want to get the first win in the league for them. I talked to our guys after. You got to play desperate. And we talked about playoff hockey, and to me, that's certainly a different version of playoff hockey than I understand.
It doesn't matter who we're playing. We need to come out the same way every single night. It shouldn't matter what team we're playing. I mean, we know our strategy and we know our game plan, and we just got to stick to what we know what to do.
So now to move on with a little double dose of the rink, Andrew, how did the women fare?
So the women faced Wisconsin as well. Now, you were just talking about how Wisconsin notching their first conference victory for the men's team. The women's team, as usual, perennially a power. Number 3 in the country. Number 2 in the conference. WCHA, pretty strong hockey conference. Yeah. They're getting it done. Wisconsin took care of the Buckeyes 2-0. It was an outstanding game, Aaron. You lose a game to the number 3 team in the country and you only allow them 2 goals. The speed with which these women were skating on Friday night was remarkable. They were intercepting passes. They were efficient. They weren't turning the puck over. I know we tend to hate the term the eye test, but my goodness, Wisconsin passes it. Blair Turnbull notched both goals on Friday evening. Cassidy Sauvé still had 22 saves, though. So, I mean, the Buckeyes,
Yikes.
Yeah, Buckeyes are still doing well to hang with a team that good. Taylor Keel, one of the outgoing seniors, I'll get to that in a second, had a great shot, 4 total in that game. Kara Gust, a redshirt senior, she was everywhere. Whenever she was on the ice, it seemed like she just kind of gravitated to where the puck was, and just Coach Handrahan credits her for having good gap control, playing in-your-face hockey, his words. Julia McKinnon, fast as always. Claudia Kepler was pretty physical, a little emotional, got a roughing penalty late in that game. But again, for them to lose that game only 2-0 is impressive until you look at the box score from Saturday when they beat the Badgers 4-3 on senior night. So we mentioned Gust and Keel. You also have Kayla Sullivan, Danielle Gagne, and the Schmidt sisters, the 6 seniors, all had a role in Saturday's triumph over Wisconsin. As I said, 4-3 upset, and Coach Handrahan talked on Friday night. We'll hear from it now, and it'll be relevant for how they performed on Saturday, on the importance of the power play and the performance of some of his seniors this weekend.
I thought we played well in the first and the third, and for little spurts in the second period. We gave up a power play goal and didn't get one on the power play, and I think that swings the tide a little bit. Managed to outshoot them in 2 of the 3 periods. Thought we limited a lot of their opportunities and tried to take away some of their strengths, but we didn't generate enough, and Debian was very, very good tonight. One thing that Gust has done, she's figured out how to play, in your face hockey, so to speak. We call it gap control, where she's always gapping and trying to close space on offensive players, and she's done a good job of that. Carrie's certainly done a good job of that, and all our D for the most part. When we're good with our gaps, we're able to shut down even the best players in the country. When we're not, then we get exposed, and that happened in the second.
So Coach Nate Handrahan having words of praise not only for his own players, but Debian, the goalkeeper for Wisconsin, having an outstanding showing on both evenings, frankly, despite the 4 goals the Buckeyes were able to score on the strength of those seniors. So the Schmidt sisters, 3 assists between the 2 of them. Keel had an assist, Sullivan had a goal, and Gagne had a goal. Gust was the only one to not notch a point there on Saturday night. So really nice to see these women go out on a positive note after successful careers in the Scarlet and Gray. A power play goal and a shorthanded goal scored for the Buckeyes on Saturday evening. Clearly key, deciding factors in their victory. They did allow a power play goal, but getting the neutralizing power play goal and then a shorthanded one on what is your penalty kill is pretty impressive stuff. So we'll have to see how they fare this weekend against Minnesota Duluth. No slouch in that WCHA conference. So they're wrapping up their regular season, but flipping the script, right across the hallway, St. John Arena. You were there Wednesday night. What's going on with men's volleyball, Aaron?
So last week we reported on how head coach got his 600 win. Well, 601 would also be a milestone for the program. Last Wednesday, the number 12 Buckeyes, they notched their 1,000th program win and their 500th win at home at St. John Arena. So talk about a legacy right there. They swept past Penn State, so they're moving on forward. Miles Johnson, he had 13 kills, while the freshman Nicholas Zerson, he had 16 of his own. That leads them into Sunday's matchup, I believe, where they faced St. Francis.
You're correct. School from Pennsylvania. And what's remarkable about that game is they got Dris Goosis back for his first full game this season. The guy absolutely delivered in his first full performance back. He did see some action in 1 game of the Penn State matchup, but they were sort of easing him back in. Remember when Taylor Sandbothy was struggling with injury? Same kind of thing. They kind of want to ease you back into competition, but he deliver? My goodness. He was second in kills on the team behind Miles Johnson, who is clearly taking to his new position quite dominantly. 14 kills for Johnson, 11 for Goosis. And the team just handled St. Francis, I wouldn't say without issue, because they didn't sweep them. That second game, They struggled. St. Francis was passing rather well. They had some service error problems. They did bring in Peter Edwards to give them kind of a boost there, and they closed to within 25-23 was the score of that second game. So St. Francis got one. But what does this team do, Aaron? They drop an early set and they come back with a vengeance, and that's exactly what they did. In the third and fourth sets, this team looked outstanding. They weren't making mistakes. We heard from Nicholas Surtson and Coach Hansen after the game about what they're doing right, what it means to this team to get Gustas back, and of course, they're about to go on a 5-game road trip.
Yeah.
So we heard from them after the St. Francis game.
We would have had the ability to sweep them had we played to our capabilities from set to set to set. And clearly we didn't in set number 2, the set we lost. Unfocused. You know, we weren't sharp with our passing, and that affects your hitting. And then, you know, you get behind 7-2, and you can't be aggressive with your serve.
I think St. Francis surprised us, like, from the right side. They had really good, like, kills on this side. We just, like, on this special right side, on the block, you know, like, we tried to, like, stay in the system we established before the game, but, like, we tried to change during the game. It wasn't, like, sure. Yeah, I mean, for sure, Driss is, like, a really good, like, on to have right now. Having, like, one more opportunity is always better, you know? Having multiple middles, better for outside hitters, for like opposites too, like kind of like spread the game, you know.
He's not as good as he can be, clearly, just because he hasn't played a lot. But you saw what type of player he can be. I mean, there's really nobody in the country when we're passing the ball and he's running his patterns. There's really nobody that's really probably going to stop him.
I mean, as the coach said in the locker room, like we have to like focus on every match and like just go for it. Try to like rivalize with the Chicago team, you know, because they're like top 2 in the nations. So yeah, it's our goal right now to go there and just like play our game. Don't think, just play, you know what I mean?
I think that's going to do it for us as we progress into spring. Obviously, we're talking about some sports wrapping up their seasons. Baseball and softball are on the way. So join us on Twitter at Chalk Talk OSU. Chime into the conversation. Can I get a hand
Hashtag
gesture?
CTOSU.
There it is. There it is. You're getting rusty over there.
A little bit.
So that's going to do it for us this week, but be sure to tune in next time and we'll have all the action for you. Until then, take care.